This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, and insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
Hello, everybody. We had a bit of audio challenges there. That's why we're another damn half an hour late. But anyway, don't know what's going on. Anyway, show 260. Zarn, how are you?
Fantastic, Michael. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Excellent.
This week's sponsors, startnewcompany.com.au and ithelptoyou.com.au. Now, our Aussie Apple ramblings this week. So firstly, I hope you're feeling better, Zarn.
I'm a lot better than last week.
Excellent.
I did see the show and I commented on it while you guys were live.
Yeah.
It was a great show. Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, basically all the news is just waiting for this week's Apple event. So there's a few little things, but the first one is now a quick thinking Apple intern uses Apple Watch as logging tool during in-flight emergency. An Apple Watch can often provide useful heart rate data to its owner, but one quick thinking Apple intern actually strapped his watch onto a fellow passenger when she collapsed during an airline flight. The incident actually persuaded the intern that he wanted to go to medical school, where he went on to create an ebook for brain tumour patients. Central Michigan University shared the story of Brian Shear. The career-deciding moment for Shear occurred on a plane ride from Arizona back to DC, when soon after takeoff, the woman sitting in front of him passed out. Shear, along with an internal medical physician and a lifeguard, jumped out of their seats and started working on it. Shear pulled off his watch and put it on the woman to monitor her pulse. When the plane landed, he gave the watch to the emergency technician so doctors could have her pulse data from the flight. That's when I decided to go to medical school. I want to be the one using the latest technology and be part of pushing it forward, not the one making it and selling it. That is a good story.
It's a great story.
Yeah. 9 to 5 Mac story, that one.
Excellent.
Now, don't forget, anyone who wants to be on the show as a guest, please contact us. The gentleman that I've been looking for from South Australia has contacted us, and maybe next week. Yeah.
That's exciting.
If I can organise it. It is. Have listeners get on and be with us. That would be awesome.
I remember the email. He's an optometrist.
Yes, I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the email now.
Now, here's another good story.
Yep.
Apple News', so we're talking about the Apple News app, Apple News' radical approach, humans over machines. So Lauren Kern is the editor-in-chief of Apple News. The former magazine journalist has quietly become one of the most powerful figures in English language media. Many of Apple employees moved into a glistening new $5 billion glass headquarters in Cupertino this year, a mile west of the old campus. A project antithetical to Silicon's ethos is now underway. In a quiet corner of the third floor, Apple is building a newsroom of sorts. About a dozen former journalists have filled a few nondescript offices to do what many other tech companies have for years left to software, selecting the news of tens of millions of people will read. So one morning in late August, when this reporter was obviously there, Apple's news editor-in-chief, Lauren Kern, huddled with a deputy, discussed the 5 stories to feature atop the company's 3-year-old news app, which comes pre-installed on every iPhone in the United States, Britain, and Australia. Now, national news sites were leading that day with stories that the Justice Department had backed an affirmative action lawsuit against Harvard University. A good proxy that the story mattered, said Ms. Kern's deputy, a former editor of the New York Times, who Apple requested not to be named for privacy reasons. So he and Ms. Kern quickly agreed that it was today's top news. And after reading through a few versions, selected the Washington Post reports because, they said, it provided the most context and explanation on why the news mattered. So there you go, old school. Someone actually reading it and saying, oh, yeah, that's a good story. We'll put that at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
Did you come up with any stories this week? I didn't ask that before the show started.
I've got some gaming news and stuff like that.
All right, we'll chuck one in now. That'll be good.
Yeah. So everyone's been anticipating Red Dead Redemption from Rockstar.
Yeah.
And it dropped today, or yesterday, today, depending on where you were. And there's been a huge argument from all the PS4 and Xbox players because people getting this and that, earlier or whatever, and they've been just arguing and teasing each other online for 2 days. It's been hilarious to watch. The beta also for, I've almost forgot. What was it? Curtis loves it, that silly game. We're only talking about it yesterday. See, it's because I don't play it. I can't remember the name now. No, I've lost it. I'm sorry. But I know the beta was out this weekend, and people on Xbox were complaining about that because they're only getting it in sort of 1 and 2 hour intervals. But it was just to see if it was okay. And, so they'd take it, let them play it, bring it back, fix a little bit.
That's why it's called beta.
Exactly. Fallout 76. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, and so people were like, oh, we didn't get the whole weekend sort of thing to play it, or we didn't get enough gameplay on the beta, but it was just a beta. Yes. They were trying to fix these little tweaks, and they needed people to play it to see if they were fixed. If they weren't, they'd fix them. If they were, they sort of let it go. So it was a 2 hour gameplay, and then I think a half an hour gameplay, and then another, sort of hour. But yeah, it was all up. It was about, I think it was either 4 or 8 hours. I can't remember anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's so. That was on the weekend. They had the beta of that and the release of Red Dead today, or yesterday and today, which was really exciting. What else? I think that's it for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, we talked last week about the Apple App Store encouraging subscriptions and multi-app packs. Now, on top of that, Apple's App Store search ads on track to be a $2 billion business by 2020, says an analyst. The ads that you see from apps above search results on the App Store?
Yeah.
Well, Apple started rolling out App Store search ads 2 years ago, and now at least one analysis believes the feature could be a $2 billion business.
Jesus.
All on its own in 2 years' time.
Wow.
Yeah, Bernstein analyst Tony Sacconaghi published the prediction in a research note shared by CNBC. Sacconaghi said his estimate that Apple could approach $2 billion in search ad revenue by 2020 was conservative. In a note published on Monday, the development means that Apple is likely to meet or exceed its goals of doubling its services revenue by the end of 2020 to $49 billion. Now, Sacconaghi's estimate is based in part on his forecast that Apple will make some $500 million this year on selling search ads on the App Store this year alone.
Jesus.
Now, the analysis compares the possible size of Apple search ads because in 2020 to that of Apple Music last year, just to give you an idea. So that's just ads.
Yeah.
Just, something that you pay attention to or not pay attention to. I know a lot of people pay attention to it because it's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I always look. Like if I'm in and I'm searching for something, the ad comes up and stuff like that, I always take a quick glance.
Yeah, if it's appropriate, you'll act on it. If it's not, you just continue on. Yeah,
exactly.
So, This week, we are brought to you by our new advertiser, startnewcompany.com.au. So when you're starting a new company and you're trying to work out the whole process, these people will help you out immediately. So you get all your legal docs included, including the company constitution, immediate registration with ASIC. You can check name availability, save progress and come back later. All docs are kept for a later download. You can get blank docs available for the future. You can do it 24/7, 365 days a year, because you can be talking over lunch on the Christmas table, and before you lay down for your afternoon nap, you can have it done. And we've got a limited time special, $528. So startnewcompany.com.au. And just having gone through the process a couple of times in my life, it's not easy, let me tell you. And if you got no idea right at the start, which is truly what most people have no idea, like, yeah, they've got the idea for the company or what it's going to do and how it's going to make its money, but the actual process and everything that's needed to be kept up to date, hard work.
So there you go, guys. That's Start New Company.
Yes. Now, this is cool. Another Australian story. The RMIT, which is the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, touts faster internet thanks to twisted light. Now, according to the university, the new nanophotonic device encodes more data and processes in much faster than conventional fibre optics by using a special form of twisted light.
As you said that, you froze. Quicker than our goddamn NBN, that's for sure.
The Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, RMIT, has announced a new technology it believes could allow for 100 times faster internet. Broadband fibre optics carry information on pulses of light through optical fibres. Now, I
Got to
can
make
remember
this government's NBN 5 gig down, by the way.
Yeah. Now, but the way the light is encoded at one end and processed at the other affects data speeds. RMIT said that harnessing twisted light beams, it can carry more data and process it faster. Present-day optical communications are heading towards a capacity crunch as they fail to keep up with the ever-increasing demands of big data, Dr. Haran Ren from RMIT's School of Science said. What we've managed to do is accurately transmit data via light at its highest capacity in a way that will allow us to massively increase our bandwidth. Now, according to RMIT, the nanophotonic device built by RMIT's Laboratory of Artificial Intelligence, Nanophotonics, encodes more data and processes it much faster than conventional fibre optics by using this special form of twisted light. Ren explained, the device has been built for reading twisted light is the missing key required to unlock super fast, ultra broadband communications. So we've got to look forward to that, and hopefully Australia will get respect it deserves for it too.
I hope so. I hope we get it.
Yes.
Well, if we don't even have NBN. Like where I moved to, we don't even have NBN yet. Like, Jesus Christ.
I might have said this to, anyway, one of the customers, new customer I saw a couple of weeks ago, in his words, we live in a safe Liberal seat, so we won't be getting NBN anytime soon. They accepted that. So they went around the street, got a quote from Telstra for the whole street to put cable in.
Yep.
And
so I remember you telling me that, yeah.
Yeah, each house paid whatever it was, $620 or something, to have NBN for cable put in.
Yep.
And away they go, yeah.
Brilliant.
So interesting. The whole street got together. So that's important to note.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. It's great to hear that many neighbours getting together for whatever project.
Exactly. Like, I think, like, it's just been such a kerfuffle, the whole NBN thing.
Yes.
And the fact that it's still not in certain areas and all that sort of stuff, it's just ridiculous.
I've got a little bit more about that in a little while, actually.
Yep.
Now I think about it. Now, here's a bad Australian story. 23-year-old Australian pilfers $320,000 of cryptocurrency, gets arrested. Now, Australian authorities have arrested a suspect for what is potentially the country's largest single cryptocurrency theft. An as yet unnamed 23-year-old Sydney woman was taken into custody for stealing 100,000 XRP, which is obviously some sort of cryptocurrency, in January this year, 9 news states. According to other reports, the perpetrator hacked into and changed the password of a 56-year-old man's email account. She then used her mobile phone to gain access to the man's cryptocurrency holdings and transferred the 100,000 to an account in China. Now, at the time of the theft, the cryptocurrency was worth nearly 320,000 or 450,000 Australian dollars.
Jesus.
Now, authorities investigating the crime claim this is the first and largest cryptocurrency theft by a single person. It's the first that we know of its type in Australia, where an individual has been arrested and charged for the technology-enabled theft of cryptocurrency, said Arthur Castonguananis, a New South Wales police detective, in a statement. Investigating detectives also said they expect this type of crime to increase in coming years. So that's what we're talking about. Be careful of your what emails you click and don't click and all that sort of stuff. This is what they're trying to do. Now, while this case might be the first and largest theft orchestrated by a single individual, it's not the first time Australians have suffered at the hands of crypto baddies. Earlier this month, scammers used Bitcoin ATMs to extort money out of Australian immigrants by claiming they had tax bills to pay and that their migration status would be jeopardised if they didn't cough up. Again, understanding what's happening. Tell your friends, tell your neighbours, tell your family, tell your older ones and younger ones, please. It's important.
Yep.
This week, we are brought to you by ithelptoyou.com.au. Just have a look up on the web. They're Macintosh specialists and ring them up, ask questions. That's basically anything you want to know. We try and make time to help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. ithelptoyou.com.au.
Sydney-wide.
At least.
Yeah.
Even more than Sydney-wide.
That's right. Newcastle. Wollongong.
Yep. Yeah, non-stop. Our next story. Now, Andy Penn on how Telstra is... There's more of the NBN story for you, son.
Yep.
Andy Penn on how Telstra is deploying 5G. Now, Telstra CEO outlined recent 5G and IoT trials the telco has done with Linfox and the National Farmers Federation. Telstra is choosing a range of different launch sites for its early 5G network in order to ensure the new mobile network can handle all geographical and population density requirements ahead of 5G smartphone availability next year, CEO Andy Penn has told ZDNet. There's a few things that go into our site selection, Penn told ZDNet on Wednesday. We obviously want to make sure that we're covering different parts of the country nationally, and so targeting different demographical locations. So we launched one in Toowoomba, which is a good barometer of what we need to do regionally, and Toowoomba's quite a digital hub.
It is.
While Penn wouldn't be drawn on where Telstra will be launching next, he did confirm the telco's 5G network will be live nationally by the end of 2018, with the telco using mid-band spectrum in the 3.5 gigahertz bandwidth. The availability of spectrum is also part of its selection criteria, as well as the ability to trial major use cases with its early 5G networks like smart cities. Now, smart cities is a really important use case, and there's a number of communities and councils around the country that have very significant aspirations to enable their smart cities, and it's not just Metro, Penn said. I was speaking to the Lake Macquarie Economic Development Council. I was briefly in Bendigo and Toowoomba. We've talked about Bunbury in Western Australia, and there's lots of communities across the country that see digital and enabling their smart city as being very important. So there we go.
That's excellent.
It is.
Toowoomba, I know a few people that live in Toowoomba that are quite digital. They do a lot of recording and live streaming and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, excellent. Now, this week in Apple history, we haven't had this for a while, but because of the news cycle, this is important. Now, this week in 1985, Apple CEO John Sculley committed his biggest mistake of his tenure at Apple. Indeed, this mistake may well have doomed Apple to play second fiddle to Microsoft in the world of graphical user interface-driven OSs. At the very least, it allowed Microsoft to not have to innovate its way into this market, but rather to surf Apple's coattails into the big time. And don't forget, we're talking like the Macintosh interface and what we sort of slowly got used to more and more as we see it today, and the text-based interface that was,
DOS.
Windows 3.0 or whatever, yeah. Like the DOS, like we're talking 1985.
Yeah.
Now, what was this mistake? It was licensing the look and feel of the Mac OS to Microsoft. Though really it was also in allowing that license to be interpreted as a license covering Microsoft in perpetuity, instead of merely version 1 of Windows, which is what Mr. Sculley thought he was doing. This was a huge, massive mistake that allowed Microsoft to lift wholesale elements of the Mac OS for Windows. Though Apple would fight this in court, suing Microsoft for copyright infringement, that case would eventually be dismissed by a US court because of this license agreement signed in 1985. Now so you signed a license agreement thinking it was for a short time, and it ended up being forever.
That's ridiculous.
Screwed.
Why wouldn't he not read that?
Why wouldn't the rest of the company not read it?
I know.
Anyway, this week in 1993, Apple introduced the odd Mac TV, an all-in-one Mac with a built-in TV tuner. 1996, Apple announces the MessagePad 2000 and eMate 300, both running the new Newton 2.1 operating system.
Sorry, the Apple with the built-in, what did that one look like?
Which one?
The one with the built-in
TV?
Yeah.
The first TV in 1993. I'm just trying to think whether that was one of the first ones with like this LED screen.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think whether that was it or whether it was another one later on that was like that. But yeah, just it was a screen that you could have a TV input and you press a button like I do on my machine downstairs still this day.
Yeah.
Watch TV.
As a computer or as a television?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we had one of those. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember whether it was the black one with this like LED. I think it was too early for an LED screen.
Yeah.
But it was, yeah. I'm so old, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I sort of remember it. That's why when you mentioned it, I was to go back because I'm sure we had one of those. But anyway, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, that's right. In 96, Apple introduced the MessagePad and the eMate, both running the Newton software. The MessagePad 2000, codenamed Q, was US $949. We're talking for a little handheld thing.
Yep.
It's hailed as the first in a new generation of handheld mobile internet computers. Built for life on the road, the 1.4-pound device is complete mobile computer for business professionals with a range of productivity and desktop connection applications powered by 160 megahertz ARM processor. just to give you an idea, right? And then back in those days, they had modems that you actually, it was a modem that connected to the telephone line to get your internet. So this little handheld thing with the phone line coming off it and the power line coming off it. Not like you got today, son.
Good old days.
Yeah. Now we're up to 2001, the day after releasing to manufacturing the Mac OS X 10.1 version of Office, which was US $4.99, Microsoft announces the worldwide availability of Windows XP for $199 and Home for $99 editions. Apple's first major update to Mac OS X was 129, and it was version 10.1, released just prior to that. Now, Apple releases, this is 2003 now, Apple releases Mac OS X 10.3, code name Panther. Now, this major update features a new Finder with a sidebar and a toolbar and Expose, iChat AV, right?
iChat AV.
Now called FaceTime.
Yes.
Fast user switching. Had the 5 volt back in 2003. We had 5 volt. We also had the font book. We had faxing capabilities, and this is when Xcode was released, which is what we use for programming these days. So yeah, that's 2000. So that's 15 years ago.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Still here. We've still got Expose. We've still got a Finder with a sidebar and a toolbar. We've still got 5 volt. We've still got font book.
Yep.
Faxing, if you've got a fax printer, you can print that way as well.
Have you got a fax printer?
No, not anymore. A couple of customers still do, yes.
Yeah.
So that's the end of my stories.
Yep.
So don't forget, you get your show, the show notes are in a link each week on the show upload. Or if you're using Spotify, just search for Aussie Mac Zone, and Apple News. Search for Aussie Mac Zone, hit the heart, just so that way when it does get news stories put through, you will get them. And there will be stories on the Aussie Mac Zone Apple News page after the special announcements from Apple this week.
Excellent.
Now, thanks to our sponsors. Now, don't forget that's at midnight, what did I say? 1 o'clock Australian time in the morning. Those announcements will start.
Will you be up for that?
Yeah, 10 o'clock New York, 10 a.m. New York time is
Excellent.
1 a.m. our time at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks to our sponsors this week being startnewcompany.com.au and ithelptoyou.com.au. But most importantly, thank you very much to our supporters,
Absolutely.
you, our listeners. Thank you and have a great time. And over to Zarn for the sign-off.
See you guys. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to everyone who listens. And remember, apple a day keeps the Androids away. See you later.